They're phony Willis. Oh my god. Phony Willis. Oh, I can kind of hear it.
The
Okay.
United
Can you
States
hear it
Supreme
now?
Court
Yeah.
recently
Okay.
ruled that the former president
I
would
found the
essentially
button.
be immune from any misconduct if he were to enter the White House again. Understand, this is someone who has openly said he would terminate, I'm quoting, terminate the Constitution of the United States.
He never
he would
said that, you
weaponize
lying
the
bitch.
Department of Justice against his political enemies. Someone who has openly expressed disdain for members
Where'd
of
you
our
go, Robert?
military. Understand,
I'm here.
Trump were back in the White House with no guardrails, because certainly
I'm gonna
have a heart attack over this.
Dude, my veins in my head are popping out.
the American people
Vice
to
President
stop
Harris.
him.
Thank you. Lindsay?
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president.
This is the one that weaponized, not me. She weaponized. I probably took a bullet to the head because
There you go, buddy.
Yeah.
Kill him.
about me.
Exactly. Tell them.
Democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy
President
with a fake
Trump.
Russia investigation
We do have a lot to
that
get.
went nowhere.
We have a lot to get to. Lindsay?
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president, you said you wanted to ban fracking. Now you don't.
All I can say, if I were him,
Government
I
buyback
would
programs
legally
for
go
assault
after
weapons. Now
everybody
your
that was
campaign
responsible
says
for
you
this
don't.
stuff.
You supported decriminalizing.
I would, yeah, 100%.
Now you're taking a harder line. I know you say that you're.
Give me one sec, Chris. I got to take this. So sorry.
Why
Sure.
have so many of your policy positions changed?
So my values have not changed, and I'm going to discuss every one of the, at least every point that you've made. But in particular, let's talk about fracking, because we're here in Pennsylvania. I made that very clear in 2020. I will not ban fracking. I have not banned fracking as Vice President of the United States. And in fact, I was the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which opened new leases for fracking. My position is that we have got to invest in diverse sources of energy so we reduce our reliance on foreign oil. We have had the largest increase in domestic oil production in history.
The largest in history, Chris.
Yeah, no doubt.
That we cannot over-rely on foreign oil. As it relates to my value,
From the one who hasn't received a single vote.
raised by a hardworking
All they have
woman
is lies, man.
who
Hey, Chris, D's nuts got more votes in 2016 than she did.
teenager.
That's a
The
fact.
values
It's a
I
fact.
to the importance of homeownership,
2020,
not everybody
you mean.
got handed
Well, yeah, I think D's nuts has been on the ballot multiple times.
and filed bankruptcy
Yeah,
6
20.
times
You're right.
is a
2016 and
value that I
2020.
Yeah.
my work
Didn't
to
hurt.
say we are going
She-
to
Point is,
work with
D's nuts had more votes than this one.
to increase
This is an installation.
homes,
She
increase
pulled
by
the
3 million
least
homes by the
like
end of my first
vice
term.
president
My
ever.
work that is related to
Prior to becoming the
having a friend
nomination
when I was
with
in high
0
school who was
votes.
sexually assaulted by
Yeah, this was all pre-planned.
on protecting women and children from violent crime is
Yeah,
a
protecting,
value
yeah.
that
Yeah.
is deeply grounded in the importance
Yeah.
of standing up for those who are most vulnerable.
Why can't she do something about it now? Isn't she in power now?
Security and
Yep.
Medicare.
I
is
mean,
based on
well,
long-standing work
she-
that I have
let's
done,
be honest.
protecting seniors from
She won't be in
scams.
power when she's
My
president.
Values
No, of
have
course not.
changed.
She'll be just another
Is that
another
you're a
puppet.
president who actually
That's why
brings
they can't have
values
Trump.
and a perspective that is about
Because he calls his
lifting
own
people
shots, and they
up
know
and not
they'll have
beating
no
people
control over him in the
down.
second term.
And name
They know.
calling. The true measure
I am proud of President Trump though. He's just look at him.
actually understand
He's just got this stoic kind of like just letting her
people up. I
letting her
am
do it.
that president.
President Trump, your
Well, first of
response?
all, I wasn't given $400 million. I wish I was. My father was a Brooklyn builder, Brooklyn, Queens, and a great father, and I learned a lot from him. But I was given a fraction of that, a tiny fraction.
He was given
and I
10
built
billion.
it into many, many billions of dollars. Many,
He was
many
given 10
billions.
billion.
And when people see it, they are even surprised. So we don't have to talk about that. Fracking, she's been against it for 12 years.
Exactly. All of a sudden.
She's
Yep.
been against that forever. She gave all that.
Come on, Kamala. Say it.
Very horribly.
You didn't say her
And
name
Drill,
right.
baby, drill. I know,
Yes.
Kamala.
We're all laughing at it.
Hey, when I was at the rally,
Kamala?
Probably 14
Kamala. Oh,
She's like, she was big on
that I don't mean to disparage anybody. I'm just talking about.
I'm talking now, if you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar? She went out.
Does that sound
She went
familiar?
out in Minnesota. And
Yeah, remember when she said that against Pence?
people,
Yeah.
I'm talking.
I'm
I'm
speaking.
talking. I'm speaking now. It's my turn.
she did things that nobody would ever think of. Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens.
Oh, Chris, we were just talking about this
Yeah.
before the thing.
Liberal.
Everyone gets a transgender assignment. You get one, everyone gets one.
Never
Yeah,
allow
that's right.
fracking in Pennsylvania.
Chris, when you getting yours?
Election, fracking in Pennsylvania
uh,
will end.
I wouldn't
on day
even
one.
give her my
Just
dick.
to
Come
finish,
on.
one thing so important in my opinion. So I got the oil business.
I mean,
going
she
like
ain't
nobody
ugly,
has ever
but
done before.
I would puke.
When they took over,
Oh,
they got rid of it, started getting rid of it, and the prices were going up the roof. They immediately let these guys go to where they were. I would have been 5 times, 4 times, 5 times higher because you're talking about 3.5 years ago. They got it up to where I was because they had no choice because the prices of energy were quadrupling and doubling. You saw what happened to gasoline. So they said, let's go back to Trump. But if she won the election, the day after that election, they'll go back to destroying our country and oil will be dead. Fossil fuel will be dead. We'll go back to windmills and we'll go back to solar where they need a whole desert to get some energy to come out of. You ever see a solar plant? By the way, I'm a big fan of solar, but they take 400.
you ever see how much shit this is? By the way, I'm a big fan of shit, Chris.
Lindsay, thank you. We have an election in just 56 days.
We
Wait,
do.
wait. I just gotta say something. The real only difference between these two, really, at least in my opinion, is she's pro-war, he's not. That's what you're voting on. If you vote for Kamala, you're voting for war. If you vote for Trump, you're voting anti-war. And that's why everybody's against him.
Yeah, I can agree.
I mean, aside from the illegal immigration, he's going to put up a wall and stop it, and she's not.
Yeah. But Chris, at the top of the debate, the question that is yet to be answered, were we better off under
Oh, yeah.
Trump?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, all right, enough. That's all I'm trying to say. Period.
Undoubtedly
No war.
so.
Obviously, we don't want war. We need everything to stop.
Democracy and the role of
And
the
it won't
president,
under her.
in a moment
Of course not.
Illegal
It'll be
im-
perpetuated.
Illegal
You told
immigration
your
won't
supporters to march
stop,
to the Capitol.
war
You
won't
said
stop.
You would be right there with them.
It's really those
The
two
country
things
and
that
the
you're
world
voting
saw
on.
what played out at the Capitol that day.
That's
Your
true.
officers coming under attack. Aides in the West Wing say you watched it unfold on television off the Oval Office. You did send out tweets, but it was more than 2 hours before you sent out that video message telling your supporters to go home. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that
Why
day?
should he?
You just said a thing that isn't covered peacefully and patriotically.
That's
I
exactly what he
during my
said.
speech
Thank you.
later on. Peacefully and patriotically. And nobody on the other side was killed. Ashley Babbitt was shot by an out-of-control police officer.
Yep.
That should have never
Only one that
ever
died.
shot her.
Only person.
Exactly.
But we didn't do this group of people that have been treated so badly. I ask,
How about
what
the
all
32 people that
are
died
pouring
under
into our
Black
country and
Lives
killing
Matter
people
peaceful
that she allowed
protests?
to pour in? She was
Right.
the czar, remember that. She
Yeah, borders are.
She doesn't want to be called the border czar because she's embarrassed by the border. In fact, she said at the beginning, "Oh, I'm surprised you're not talking about the border yet." That's because she knows what a bad job they've done. What about those people? When are they going to be prosecuted? When are these people from countries all over the world, not just South America? They're coming in from all over the world, David, all over the world. And crime rates are down all over the world because of it.
But let me just
when
ask
are those, David, when are those people going to be prosecuted? When are the people that burned down Minneapolis going to be prosecuted?
There
Or
you
in
go.
Seattle?
There you go.
Seattle, they took over a big percentage of the city of Seattle.
Yeah,
When are those
Capitol
people gonna be
Hill. They
prosecuted?
still live there.
But let me just ask
You might ask her that question.
You were the president. You were watching it unfold on television. It's a very simple question as we move forward toward another election. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day?
What's he
Yes,
supposed
I
to
had
regret?
nothing to do with that other than they asked
What's
me
he
to make a
supposed to
speech. I
regret?
showed up for a speech. I said, I think it's going to be big.
He can't say
I went to
peacefully
Nancy
protest?
Pelosi and the
Right.
mayor of Washington, D.C., and the mayor put it back in writing, as you know. I said, you know, this is going to be a very big rally or whatever you want to call it. And again, it wasn't done by me. It was done by others. I said, I'd like to give you 10,000 National Guard
that
force
too.
soldiers. They rejected me.
Nancy Pelosi
rejected
declined
me.
it.
It was just 2 weeks ago. Her daughter has a tape of her saying she is.
And failed to call in the Capitol Police, as she
Yep.
has the authority to do.
It
Yep.
would have never happened if Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington
Nope.
did their jobs. I wasn't
There you go.
responsible for security. Nancy Pelosi was responsible. She didn't do her job.
The question was about you as president, not about former Speaker Pelosi, but I do want Vice President Harris to respond here.
Well, what else can he say?
I was at the Capitol on January 6th.
Yeah.
I was the vice
Right.
president-elect. I was also an acting senator. I was there. And on that day, the President of the United States incited a violent mob.
How? By saying peacefully
our nation's
protest?
capital to desecrate.
Br-
our
He
nation's
should have brought up how
capital.
she
On
was
that day,
bailing people out during the
140 law
BLM
enforcement
protests
officers
Yeah.
were injured.
that were violent and
died.
arrested and in prison.
understand,
She was bailing
the-
them out.
Exactly.
Has been indicted and impeached.
Again, she's gonna say indicted and impeached.
But this is not an
All these-
isolated situation.
Oh, God, I
Let's
can't stand
remember
these people.
Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches.
Here we go. Here we go with the
doing
KKK reference.
anti-Semitic hate.
That was all fraudulated.
What did the president then at the time say?
Great people.
Find people on each side.
Of course, you bullshitter.
That
Oh
when
my
it came
God,
to
Chris.
Proud Boys, a militia. The president said. the
Militias
former
are allowed, you
president
dumb
said, "Stand back
bitch.
and
You
stand
know the
by."
Constitution as an attorney?
So for everyone wants
I mean,
what January 6th was. I say we don't have to go back. Let's not go back. We're
What's the
not
Constitution
going back.
say?
It's
You're an
time
attorney.
to turn the page.
Or did you blow your
And if
professor?
that was a bridge too far.
she
for
probably
you,
blew the professor. I think that's kind of her mojo.
campaign for you. To
Yeah,
stand
that's her MO.
country, to stand for our democracy, to stand for rule
Modus
of law,
operandi. Get
and
on
to
my
end the
knees.
chaos, and to end the approach that is about attacking the foundations of our democracy because you don't like the outcome.
Can't
And be
stand this
clear
lady.
on that point. Donald Trump, the candidate,
Ay,
has said in this election there will be a bloodbath. If this and the
yeah, he ain't wrong on that.
let's turn the page on this. Let's not go back.
He is kind of
Let's
smirking
chart
there.
a course for the future and not go backwards to the past.
Let me just follow up here.
It was a different term, and it was a term that related to energy because they have destroyed our energy business. That was where bloodbath was. Also, on Charlottesville, that story has been, as you would say, debunked.
Yeah, you need to go into
Yeah.
he needs to go into
Sean
that a little
Hannity,
more because
Jesse, all of these
nobody
people,
that doesn't
they
follow him
covered it.
understands
If they
that.
go an extra sentence, they will see it was perfect. It was debunked in almost every newspaper.
The
but they
problem
still
is he's
bring it up,
speaking
just
to
like
his
they bring
supporters.
2025 up.
These
They
people
bring all
don't
of
know.
this stuff up. I ask
He
you,
needs to educate.
the Capitol,
Exactly. They don't know.
why are we
All
on
these idiots that tune into ABC News that support
Southern border?
Or
How come
CNN
they-
or
Yeah,
MSNBC.
I'll tell you what,
exactly. Talk to them. You know, you gotta.
say we
You
will
got to
both
explain it
leave
a little
this
more
debate
thoroughly.
right
You can't just
now.
speak like
I'd like to
people
see
know
it
what
go
you're saying
down
because they don't.
to Washington, D.C. during this
Unless they
debate, 'cause
follow
we're
him.
wasting a lot of time. Go down to, because she's been so bad, it's so ridiculous. Go down to Washington, D.C. and let her sign a bill to close up the border because they have the right to do it. They don't need bills. They
Yeah,
have
do it now.
President of the United States. You'll get him out of bed. You'll wake him up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You'll say, come on down.
Wake him up at 4 o'clock.
If he signs a bill that the border is closed, all he has to
Chris, wake him up at 4 o'clock in the
Yes.
afternoon. Have him sign a bill.
border is
He's,
closed.
he's
Mr.
probably not
People
far
are
off. I
killing
think he was
many
wrong
people,
to like
unlike
2. He's in
J6.
bed.
We talked immigration here tonight. I do want to focus on this next issue.
Wake
It
him up
really
at 4
does,
o'clock in the
misinform
afternoon.
the truth
That was a good one.
times that we're living in. Mr. President, for 3.5 years after you lost the 2020 election, you repeatedly falsely claimed that you won. Many times saying you
Yeah,
won.
this one's gonna. This is gonna.
In the
This
past
is gonna
couple of
hurt
weeks
him.
leading up to this
Unless he
debate,
can just
you have
swallow
said,
it and
quote,
say,
you lost by a whisker.
I lost,
that you,
man.
quote, didn't quite make it. That you came.
I'm
up
here
a
to
little bit
save the
short.
people now.
I said that?
Are you now acknowledging that you lost in
No, I
2020?
don't acknowledge that at all.
But
I
you
said
did
that
say that.
sarcastically.
Yeah, he
you know
should.
that. It
He
was
should
said,
just say,
"Oh, I
"Let's
lost
get
by a
over it.
whisker."
I'm here
That
to
was
save
said
the country
sarcastically.
now."
Look, there's so much.
People don't
proof.
wanna
All
hear
you have
this.
to do is look at it.
Yeah.
They should have sent it back to the legislatures for approval.
You're-
I got
he's-
almost
this is wrong of
75
him.
million votes, the most votes
I agree with
any
him,
president
but
has ever got.
it
I was
loses
told
the
that I
middle.
got 63.
Yeah, this is where the problem is because now it's going to concern the middle that he's going to pull the same thing again
an
Yeah.
election
And people may not want to see that, but
Yep.
you know, what's past is the past. Let's look in the fucking,
That's how you should answer
Our
this. The past is the
elections are
past. I'm not
bad.
here
And a lot of
about the
these
past.
illegal immigrants coming in, they're
I'm here to
trying
save the
get them
country
to
now.
vote. They can't even speak English. They don't even know what country they're in practically. And these people are trying to get them to vote. And that's why they're allowing them to come into our country.
I don't think
did
that's a
watch
bad
all of these
angle.
pieces of video. I didn't detect the sarcasm. Lost by a whisker. We didn't quite make it. And we should just point out here as clarification, and you know this, you and your allies, 60 cases in front of many judges, many of them
No
Republican.
judge
Yeah,
did that.
no
They
standing.
said we didn't have
It's such
standing.
bullshit.
That's the
No
thank you. He just
standing.
said it.
We didn't have standing, a technicality. Can you imagine a system where a person in an election doesn't have standing? The president of the United States doesn't have standing. That's how we lost. If you look at the facts, and I'd love to have you'll do a special on it. I'll show you Georgia, and I'll show you Wisconsin, and I'll show you Pennsylvania, and I'll show you. We have so many facts and statistics, but you
Show
know.
Arizona too while you're at it.
Yeah,
Because we have
you
to
still
solve the
shouldn't be
problem that
arguing
we
this
have
though.
right now. That's old news.
Yeah, that's
And the
what he needs to
problem that we
do,
have
right there.
now is we have
Old news, right?
nation in decline.
I'm
and
here
they
to
put
save the
it
country
into
now.
decline.
The past
We
is
have
the
a
past.
nation that is dying, David.
Mr. President, thank you.
That's
Vice
better.
President
Better
Harris,
ending.
You heard the president there tonight. He said he didn't say that he lost by a whisker. So he still believes he did not lose the election.
They're trying to help
That
Kamala.
was won by
So
President.
of course,
And
she needs all the help she can get.
But I do want to ask you about something that's come up in the last
'Cause
couple
most
of days.
people
This was a
can't
post from,
stand her.
President Trump.
And not to be
about
fair,
this
most people
upcoming
can't stand
election,
Trump
just weeks
either.
away. He said,
Well, that's true too.
those people who cheated, and then he lists donors, voters, election officials, he says will be prosecuted to the fullest
In many
extent of
eyes,
the
this
law,
is,
which
as
will
most
include
elections
long-term
are,
prison sentences.
the lesser of
One
two
your
evils
campaign's
election.
top lawyers responded saying, "We won't
They
let
just are
Donald Trump
clueless.
intimidate us. We
Yeah.
won't let him suppress the vote."
'Cause
Is
war
that
is
what you
evil.
believe he's trying to do here?
Donald Trump was fired
And
by
you vote for
81
her,
million
you're
people.
voting for war.
So let's be clear about that. And clearly, he is having a very difficult time processing that. But we cannot afford to have a president of the United States who attempts, as he did in the past, to upend
No man should hit a woman, but I would be so tempted if I were him.
the
So
will
all I'm
of
gonna
the
say.
voters in a free and fair election. And I'm going to tell you that I have traveled
can't
the
stand
world as
her.
vice president. of the
It's just Chris. I honestly, my blood problem like red, and I haven't even drank anything yet.
with military
I'm drinking
leaders,
right now.
some of whom work
This
with
woman
you,
I cannot
and they
stand.
say you're a disgrace.
The only woman that I
And when
dislike
you
more
then
is Rachel
talk in
Maddow.
this way in a presidential debate and deny
I try to watch
what
her,
over
and every
over
time it
again
just
are
my blood
court
pressure
cases
goes up
you
to
have lost.
2,000.
That's what I'm saying.
did in fact
You're gonna
look,
blow a vessel here, Chris.
it leads one to believe that perhaps we do not have in the candidate to my right the temperament or
Oh, here we go.
ability to not be confused about fact. That's deeply troubling. And
How confused were you when you knew Biden was incapable 2 years ago?
Yeah,
but
that's
yet
what
you
I was
had-
exactly
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah. How confused were you
Men, they call him a
to
strong
mislead everybody? This was all in the plan
Mark, Prime
to
Minister.
install her
They
Well, you
said,
know what's
"Why
gonna-
is the whole world
and disenfranchise every Democrat that's willing to vote. You've all been disenfranchised, every one of you,
as
and you
president
just follow the puppet sheep.
afraid of him?
That's
China
right.
was
Whichever way the herd is going is the way that you guys follow.
Yeah.
And really, they need to think with intelligence, not emotion. Use a little common sense.
Look at what's
Look
going
what you're
on
dealing with here.
Broadway. He said Russia was afraid of him. I ended the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, and Biden put it back on day one, but he ended the XL pipeline. The XL pipeline.
Which, by the way, took how many jobs away?
But he let
Yep.
the Russians build
Oh.
a pipeline going all over Europe and heading into
And
Germany, the biggest pipeline
the
in the world.
States that had votes on
Victor
that
Orban
said, yeah, we voted for
said
Biden, but if we
He
knew
said
they
the
were going to
most
do that, we
respected,
would have never
most
voted
feared
for him.
person
Well,
is Donald Trump.
And he even
We
said he
had
was gonna
no
do it.
problems when Trump was president. But
These
when
people are
this
just
weak,
stupid that vote for
pathetic
Democrats.
man
I'm sorry.
That you saw at
I
a
mean, you
debate
gotta be.
a few months ago, that if he weren't in that debate, he'd be running instead of her. She got no votes. He got 14.
yeah, thank you. No votes.
You
I
talk
needed
about
that.
the democracy. He got 14
Yeah.
million votes, and they threw him out of office. And you know what? I'll give you a little secret. He hates her. He can't stand her. She got 0 votes. And
Zero votes.
She was
Thank
the
you.
first one to leave because she failed. and now she's running. I don't understand it, but
Mr.
I'm okay
President-
with it
Mr.
because
President, your time is
I
up.
think we're
Thank
going to
you.
do very well.
We've got a lot more to get to.
Turning now
Yes.
to the Israel-Hamas war.
Zero votes.
American-
Explain that one.
Vice President Harris, in
Yeah,
December,
there-
you said,
she keeps
quote,
preaching,
"Israel
I'm
has
here
a
to
right
save
defend
democracy,
itself," but
too.
you added, quote, "It matters how," saying international humanitarian law must be respected. Israel must do more to protect innocent civilians. You said that 9
No
months
votes.
now an estimated
Installed.
2,000 Palestinians are dead.
And a
Nearly
poll that
100
says she's the
hostages
least liked
remain.
vice
Just
president
last week,
ever.
Prime Minister Benjamin
And that's saying
Netanyahu
something
said
over
there's
Cheney.
not a deal in the making. President Biden has not been able to break through the stalemate. How would you do it?
Well, let's understand how we got here. On
Ha.
October 7,
Can't answer. She
Hamas
cannot answer a question, Chris.
No, she
organization
can't, because she has
slaughtered
no
1,200
reation to be
Israelis.
to be the
Many
president.
of them
None.
young
There's
people
no
who were
justification
simply
for her to be the
attending a
president,
concert.
other than I'm
Women
black
were horribly raped.
and a
Is she,
female.
though?
Absolutely.
Is she,
And
though?
a female.
No. Israel
I'm pretty sure she's
has a
female.
right to defend itself. We would.
Not
Maybe.
positive. Not
And
positive.
how
I'm
it
pretty
does
sure.
so matters.
Maybe.
Because it is also true, far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. Children, mothers. What we know is that this war must end. It must end immediately.
Can
and
you imagine listening to this voice?
a ceasefire deal, and we need the
I could not
hostages
imagine being
out.
her husband.
And
I'd put
so-
a
My
bullet.
my
I'd put
my
a
fellow.
bullet in my
on
head.
that. Work around the clock also.
Bro,
on
I'd just go for the
understanding that
50
we
cal
must
right to my own
find a
head.
course
That's
for a
right.
two-state solution.
I don't want to. I mean, just might as well.
There must be security for the Israeli people and Israel and in
Oh, really?
for the
That's a novel idea, boy.
One thing I will assure you always, I will always give Israel the ability to defend itself
Yeah, that's why you snubbed Benny when he came here, Bibi.
against Iran.
You didn't respect him enough to actually show up to his congressional.
We must have a
Address.
solution where we can rebuild Gaza, where the Palestinians
Yeah, rebuild Gaza because it benefits you, right?
and the dignity they so rightly
No,
deserve.
it invests.
President
It
Trump,
benefits
how
the
would
war
you
complex.
negotiate
Well,
with
that's what I mean, Chris. It benefits the machine of war, right?
Eisenhower on the
killing
way
more
out said,
innocent
"Be very
civilians in Gaza."
fearful
If I
of
were
the military
president, It
machine."
would have never started.
Yeah.
If I
Never,
were
yeah.
president,
And here we
Russia
are.
Would have never.
We've been in war ever
I
since.
know Putin very well.
Like,
would have
literally.
Never, and there was no threat of it either, by the way, for 4 years, have gone into Ukraine and killed millions of people when you add it up. Far worse than people understand what's going on over there.
Yeah, the New York Times
When
says
she
500,000 have
mentions
been killed.
Israel, all of
So
a
you know it's
sudden,
like 4 times
she hates
that.
Israel. She wouldn't even meet with Netanyahu.
Thank you.
When he
Thank
went to
you.
Congress to make a very important.
Thank you.
She refused to be there because she was at a sorority party of hers. She wanted to go to the sorority party.
Chris, you're showing the email here.
President,
Oh,
I
shit.
believe that
Sorry.
Israel will
Damn.
not exist within.
Now everyone here is going to see your email.
But I hope I'm wrong about that one.
I'll go back to the.
She hates Israel. At the same time,
That was the
in
one
her
sharing
own
my
way,
screen. Sorry.
she
We'll have to edit that out.
nation because
I'll just
the
leave it. There's
whole
nothing there.
place is going to get blown up. Arabs, Jewish people, Israel will be gone.
I was trying to send Dan. He wanted to get on.
Never happened. Iran was broke under Donald Trump.
Here, you want me to send him the link?
No, he said
$100
never
billion
mind
because
just
they
now.
took off all
He's
the
texting me.
sanctions that I had.
Oh, he's texting both of
Iran
us.
had no money for Hamas.
Oh yeah, he is. I'm not checking the phone.
The 28 different
Yeah, he is. You're right.
spheres of terror, and they are spheres of terror, horrible terror. They had no money. It was a big story, and you know it. You covered it very well, actually. They had no money for terror. They were broke. Now they're a rich nation, and now what they're doing is they're spreading that money around. Look at what's happening with the Houthis and Yemen.
The Houthis.
Going on in the Middle
I don't
East.
know anything about
This
the
would have
Houthis.
Never happened.
I don't either, but all I know is that whatever's going on in each region shouldn't be going on, Chris. Can we just
President
It can
simplify
go-
it?
No, it can go
Before
on.
even
We just shouldn't be a
becoming
part of it
president.
in any way.
President Harris, he says you hate Israel.
That's absolutely not true. I have my entire career and life supported Israel. And
No, that's the
Israeli
only
people.
country I'm
He knows
50-50
that.
on is
He's
Israel.
trying to, again, divide.
I don't know what we
and-
should do
and
there.
distract from the reality, which is it is
But we got
very
to start
well
being
known
in the middle of
that
all wars.
Donald Trump is weak and wrong on
Well,
national
if you want to be the world power, you got to you got to use strength through power. It's the only way.
wants to be a
Sure,
dictator
but
on day
why
one
do we
according
need
to
to be at war
himself.
and paying for
It
these
is
wars?
known
Well, because we are if you're the world power and you're the
whenever
leading,
the
you
hell
got to kind of
go into
be
Ukraine.
the mediator, you know?
know that he
Yeah,
said when
that's what I'm
Russia
saying.
went
I'm
into
50-50
Ukraine,
on
it
that
was
one.
I'm not saying I agree with this, but it's just what's the alternative? Let everybody desecrate each other, or come in and
Yeah.
be the person to stop it.
these
Then we can
Yeah.
dictators in
spend no
our vets
money,
are
kill
rooting
none of our own.
for you to
We
be
can rule
president
over
again because
ashes.
they're so clear.
Well,
They can
I
manipulate
mean, you know,
with flattery and favors.
We're $36
And that
trillion
is
in
why
debt. That's got to end.
so many
yeah, well, not in our lifetime, it ain't gonna, buddy.
have told me you
And
are
probably your kids' lifetimes it won't end.
That is why we understand that we have to have a president who is not consistently weak and wrong on
Vice
national
President
security,
Harris.
including the importance of upholding and
Yeah,
respecting.
close your eyes and yeah. What have you done in 3.5 years? Nothing.
Made the
And
country
she's the
worse.
one that caused it. That's weak on national security by allowing every nation last month for the year, 168 different countries sending people into our country. Their crime rates are way down. Putin endorsed her last week, said, I hope she wins. And I
Yeah,
think
Dick
he meant
Cheney
it,
endorsed her too.
because what he's gotten away with is absolutely incredible. It wouldn't have happened with me.
It's true.
The leaders
Yeah.
of other
Putin and
countries
Cheney,
that they're
Putin
weak
and Cheney are
and
endorsing
incompetent,
her. I
and
mean,
they
what the
are.
hell?
They're grossly
So why is that, Chris?
question.
Well, I think
Why does
Putin's
Biden
just
go in
screwing
and kill
around,
the Keystone Pipeline
Yeah.
personally.
and approve
But
the
Cheney,
single
I know
biggest
why
deal
he's
that
endorsing her.
Russia's ever made, Nord Stream,
Halliburton,
biggest pipeline
Halliburton
anywhere in the
loves
world,
her,
going to Germany and all over.
Ah,
and
Because
sure.
they're weak
and
they're
Cheney owns a
ineffective.
million
And
shares of
Biden, by
Halliburton.
the way, gets
President,
paid
Okay,
a
well.
lot of money.
Thank you. We have a lot of issues to get to.
We'll be right back with much more of this historic ABC News presidential
For
debate.
those
from the
who
National
are
Constitution
happening to
Center
watch
right
this,
here in Philadelphia.
Halliburton is
Back
one of
to
the biggest military manufacturers there are.
Yep.
The ABC
So what do you
It's all
think?
it's all financially driven, man.
So what do you think so far? Who's winning?
I've got to tell you. Oh, I mean, listen, I honestly, I don't even know who's winning. I just think that it's like, I mean, obviously I want to say that Trump is winning, but I don't really know how, like, if you ask me to justify how he's winning, it's the problem is, you know, it's the same story over and over and over. It's the same script, which is okay. But I have comfort in the fact that I've seen the guy do what he did before, and I can attest to the fact that life for me personally was much better under his administration. Period. Now,
So
I don't even I don't think Kamala is a legitimate even contender. I don't even think she should be on this platform and stage. So I think it's Trump against Trump, quite frankly, Chris. I really do, man.
So
All these people just don't see the fact that they've been completely disenfranchised and no one gives a shit to even ask why. There was enough time to do a runoff election. There should have been some other thing than just install a puppet that didn't get a single vote. What she's the reason RFK wasn't the nominee.
sure. And then you can go back to Bernie Sanders.
All of the above.
The Democratic Party is the reason these people who would genuinely make a difference. I'm not sure Bernie Sanders would, but RFK certainly would. Don't get a shot. It's because
Yeah.
of the power of the DNC.
And this was all premeditated and planned. And he's the threat to democracy. As a matter of fact, if she wins this election, we might as well be Venezuela.
So people do not like Kamala. So one thing I have generally, I have a very good memory about politics for some reason. And at the time, she was the biggest money donor when that first debate happened in 2016 or 2020. Which was it? 2020. No,
20 no,
yeah,
it has to be-
2020. It was 2020. She was the biggest. Hillary Clinton was the number one candidate in 16. So 2020, she was the number one money raiser. She had $125 million that she was backed by. And that was all coming from,
Is that when she was debating Biden and telling him how much of a shithead he was?
yeah, how racist he
Oh,
was.
I got you. I remember that.
Yeah. So she was the number one donor at that point. The establishment wanted her, not Biden. He did not have that much money. They wanted her. And then after she went up against Tulsi and just got absolutely slaughtered, the money shifted to Biden. at that point. Right after Tulsi, all the money shifted to Biden. So they wanted her. So guess what? I'm sure there was a deal made, and it was her as vice president, so she would be president because they know they can control her. They
But
know
Chris,
she's a puppet.
how long did they know that Biden was incapable?
Probably the
for
whole
various,
time. The whole time.
I'd say since 2021.
No, I think during his election, because even the New York Times released an article. It
Okay.
said, all we need from you, Mr. Biden, is your corporeal form. So
Oh,
you just need to look alive. We don't need anything else. Go hide in your basement.
all right.
We'll just make sure you win. And it's
Got
exactly
it.
what happened.
Yeah, exactly what they did.
Yeah.
When I went to bed on the evening of 2020, November, and woke up the following morning, I was dumbfounded. I was like, how can this be?
Yeah. Trump was up by millions of votes.
Millions of votes.
Yep. And at 3 a.m., Pennsylvania went, Trump is going up like this, Biden's like down here, and then whoop,
Yeah,
like
big
3
spike.
a.m. Yep. So, yeah, I mean, but so to answer my question I asked of you, I think Kamala's winning. And I'll tell you why. Because she's horrible at these things, and she's not what I would call doing horribly. She's just lying. And most people don't know what the truth is because the truth's very available to you, but you have to go find it. Right. And if she doesn't do something really stupid, she'll have won because the moderates, most of them,
I don't know, Chris.
it's my opinion, she's doing better than I would have thought.
All right. Well, maybe.
From Vladimir Putin to defend their sovereignty, their democracy, that it's in America's best interest to do so, arguing that if Putin wins, he may be emboldened to move even further into other countries. You have said you would solve this war in 24 hours. You said so just before the break tonight. How exactly would you do that? And I want to ask you a very simple question tonight.
Yeah, like he's gonna expose his cards.
To win this war.
I want the war to stop. I want to save lives that are being uselessly, people being killed by the millions. It's the millions. It's so much worse than the numbers that you're getting, which are fake numbers. Look,
Then how does
we're
he know?
in for 250 billion or more because
Does
they
he get
don't ask
security
Europe,
updates?
which is a
He does, absolutely.
beneficiary.
Think so?
I don't think so. He says he doesn't want them because then they'll use them against him, but he's entitled to them.
Because Biden and you don't have the courage to ask Europe like I did with NATO. They
Yep,
paid
that's true.
billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars.
See,
for
he's got to bring the temperature down a little bit here. He's getting a little bit emotional.
They don't like me.
Going back to the,
Well-
I was hoping to see a little bit more composure. I'm going to be honest.
We're in for 250 to
Well,
275.
they just had a break,
They're into
and he was
100
probably
to
told
150. They should
she's
be
doing better
forced
than you should
to
allow her to do.
equalize.
Something
With
like
being
that, he
said,
was told.
I want to get
I
the
would
war
think.
settled. I know Zelensky very well, and I know Putin very well. I have a good relationship, and they respect
She's keeping her
your
composure.
president. Okay, they respect me. They don't respect.
And she
Biden.
generally
Why would you
does not.
respect him. Why? For what reason? He hasn't even made a phone call in 2 years to Putin. Hasn't spoken to anybody. They don't even try and get it. That is a war that's dying to be settled. I will get it settled before I even become president. If I win, when I'm president-elect, and what I'll do is I'll speak to one, I'll speak to the other, I'll get them together. That war would have never happened. And in fact, when I saw Putin after I left,
And this is why they won't
unfortunately
allow him
left
to be
because
president.
Our country has gone to hell. But after
Right
I
here,
left, when
what
I
he's
saw him
saying.
building up soldiers, he did it after I left. I
Yep.
said, oh, he must be negotiating. It must be a good, strong point of negotiation. Well, it wasn't, because Biden had no idea how to talk to him. He had no idea how to stop
It's not
him.
true
And
either.
now you have millions of people
They
dead,
want the
and
war.
it's only getting worse, and it could lead to World War III. Don't kid yourself, David. We're playing with World War III, and we have a president that we don't even know if he's. Where is our president? We don't even know if he's a president.
And just to clarify
They
here.
threw him out of a campaign like a dog. We don't even know. Is he our president? But we have a president,
Mr. President.
that doesn't know he's alive.
Your time is up. Just to clarify in the question, do you believe it's in the U.S. best interest?
I think it's just to get the war finished and just get it done. negotiate a deal because we have
Oh man, that was a good one.
being destroyed.
I want to take this to Vice President
that was
Harris. I
funny.
wanna get-
It's like in the last debate. He's like, I don't even know what he said. I don't even think he knows what he said.
Now it went a step further. He doesn't
Yeah.
even know he's
He
alive.
didn't even know he's breathing.
any different from what we're seeing from President Biden?
Well, first of all, it's important to remind
She
the
puts
former
her hands up like she's clergy, like she's like bow to me. This is what a communist looks like, folks.
president that
Did you hear that though? You were talking. You probably didn't hear that. She just got her I'm speaking moment.
Oh,
Win this war.
I want the war to stop.
I'm
I want
well,
I'm
we already saw
rewinding.
this.
I'm rewinding
When
for
I saw
you.
Putin after I left.
Let's see it, but go forward.
War finished and just get it done.
All right.
Negotiate a
There, here
deal
we go.
because we have to stop all of these human lives from being destroyed.
I want to take this to Vice President Harris. I want to get your thoughts on
I'm
support
speaking.
for Ukraine in this moment, but also as Commander-in-Chief, if elected, how would you deal with Vladimir Putin, and would it be any different from what we're seeing from President Biden?
Well, first of all, it's important to remind the former president you're not running against Joe Biden, you're running against me. I believe the reason that Donald Trump says that this war would be over.
See?
What? She didn't say I'm speaking. I'm speaking.
No,
She's-
but she turned to him like she did to Pence
Yeah,
and said, "I want to remind the former president
yeah, that he's running against
Uh,
me, not Joe Biden.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Within 24 hours is because he would just give it up. And that's not who we are as Americans. Let's understand.
give it up. Give what up?
I actually met with Zelensky a few days before Russia invaded.
I told you.
Tried
Her getting
through
on her
force
knees.
to change territorial
Giving it
boundaries,
up.
to defy one of the most important international rules.
What
and
she
norms,
does.
which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And I met with President Zelensky. I shared with him
Oh, did
American
you?
intelligence about how he could defend himself. Days later, I went to NATO's eastern flank, to Poland and Romania.
Just like you went to the border,
Work that
the
I
southern border,
did, we brought 50
and
No,
said you
actually-
never been to Europe.
to support
yeah, she never
Ukraine
did go
in
to the
its
border.
righteous defense.
No, dude, she went to El Paso, Texas,
Yeah,
because of the
which is like,
ammunition,
I mean,
artillery,
And no-
please,
javelins, the
that's
aid
deep in the U.S.
have provided. Ukraine
And
stands
she
as
says,
an
"I don't need to go to the
independent and free
border."
country. If Donald
Just
Trump
like she's never been to Europe, she said.
in
exactly.
Kyiv right now, and understand what that would mean, because Putin's agenda is not just about Ukraine. Understand why the European allies and our
Yeah,
NATO
they just want NATO Article 8 to be triggered. They can't wait for it.
no longer
Mm-hmm.
president, and that we understand the importance of the greatest military alliance the world has ever known, which is NATO.
Of course, right.
We have done to preserve
Mm.
the ability of Zelensky and the Ukrainians to fight for their independence. Otherwise, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest
Doesn't
of
even know how to pronounce it.
Yeah,
Poland. And why
Kiev,
don't
you dumb
tell the
bitch.
800
Exactly.
Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat.
He
Like
should
you.
turn. He should turn to her and say,
Vice President Harris, thank you.
"Kiev."
We've heard from
Stay
both
with
of you
me.
on Ukraine tonight. Afghanistan came up in the last hour. I wanted her to respond to something you said earlier, and please, I'll give you a minute here.
Putin would be sitting in Moscow, and he wouldn't have lost 300,000 men and women, but he would have been sitting in Moscow. Quiet, please. He would have been sitting in Moscow, much happier than he is right now. But eventually, you know, he's got a thing that other people don't have. He's got nuclear weapons. They don't ever talk about that. He's got nuclear weapons.
Russia actually
Nobody
has
ever
the
thinks
most
about
in the
that.
world, and the most and the
eventually,
strongest one,
maybe he'll use
the
it,
Tsar
maybe he
Boomba or
hasn't been
something
that
like
good.
that.
Yeah.
He does
The
have
Tsar Boomba. I like that, Chris. Even if it's not a real one, we should make one.
about it.
No, I think
But
it's
just so
the
you
Tsar
understand,
something,
they
or
sent
isn't
her
it?
to
I don't know.
before this war started. 3 days later, he went in and he started.
I do think like the reality is like
His week
some of that number that they project that they have are probably like
started.
true.
He was the
defused and like incapable and not at the
Yeah, I
ready
was
of
right.
service.
You're laughing at me. It is
And
the
she
Tsar
did.
Boomba.
And the war started 3 days
Oh, it
later.
is.
That's
Yeah.
the kind of talent.
Did you just Google that?
She's worse.
Yeah,
than
but I
Biden,
heard that
in my
before.
opinion. I think he's
Oh, I wasn't laughing. I thought it was a great name. I just didn't know.
as the worst vice president in the history of our country. But let me tell you something. She is a horrible negotiator. They sent her in to negotiate. As soon as they left, Putin did the invasion.
President Trump, thank you. You did bring up something. You said she went to negotiate with Vladimir Putin. Vice President Harris, have you ever met Vladimir Putin? Can you clarify tonight?
Oops. What did I do?
Oh, Chris.
I've been drinking. What do you want?
Oh gosh, just don't touch the mouse.
So the Tsar Bomba is the most powerful nuclear weapon. Where the hell did it go? Okay. Sorry.
Chris, what's not playing?
Yeah, I paused it. It's 50 megatons of TNT.
Okay, well, Chris, I really want to see what they're saying here.
It doesn't. I paused it.
Do you believe
It's on
you
YouTube.
bear
You
any
can pause.
responsibility in the way that withdrawal played out?
Well, I will tell you, I agreed with President Biden's decision to pull out of Afghanistan. 4 presidents said they would.
And you
and Joe
did such a
Biden
good job.
And
Yeah, you lost 13
America's tax-
fucking innocent, beautiful lives.
And
Today,
$80
we were
billion
paying for that
of
endless
equipment.
war.
Just left it there and they parade around in it.
There's not one
Yep.
member of
Have
the
you seen
United
it? It's in
States
Iran
military
now.
who is in
I've seen it.
duty
Yeah,
in
it parades in
combat zone
Iran.
any war zone around the world, the first time this century. But let's understand how we got to where.
Let's understand, we had no ISIS, we had no wars, we had no school shootings, we had no mass shootings.
feels
Think about it, Chris.
Yep.
Granted, COVID was around, but still,
national
you would
security
think that would drive some kind of a mass something. There was nothing going on.
down.
Best president
He
in my
bypassed
lifetime for
the
3
Afghan
years. He
government.
didn't do a
Thank
great.
He
He did not do a
negotiated
great job with
directly
COVID
a
or the
terrorist
riot,
organization called
in
the
my opinion.
Taliban. The
That would be his
negotiation
fault.
involved the Taliban getting 5,000
Outside of that, though,
Taliban
best president
terrorists
in my lifetime.
released. And get this,
Agree.
get this. And the president at the time invited the Taliban to Camp David.
To be fair to him, no
a
presidents
place
faced
of
those things,
storied
though.
significance for
Nationwide
us as Americans,
riots
a place where we
for 6
honor
months.
the importance
Yeah.
of American
And a
diplomacy
whole
when
country
we
being shut
invite and
down.
receive respected world leaders.
It's not a fair comparison, really.
No. That's
Former
why I said
president,
3 years best
as
president
president,
ever. And he had to
invited
deal with
them
all that Russian shit.
to Camp David because
Impeachments,
not
Yep.
again
Russia.
Yep, they did everything they
Quid
did.
pro quo. I mean, they just
They did everything they
of
could
the
to-
United States
to fuck with them,
to be
Yep.
commander in
and he
chief.
still prospered.
Correct.
Yep.
And this gets back to the point of how he has consistently disparaged
Can't
and
wait till he's
demeaned
president again.
members of our military
You and me both,
soldiers,
man.
and the work that we must do to uphold the strength and the respect of the United States of America around the world.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, your response to her saying that you began the negotiations
thank
with the
you.
Taliban.
So, if you take a look at that period of time, the Taliban was killing our soldiers, a lot of them, with snipers. And I got involved with the Taliban because the Taliban was doing the killing. That's the fighting force within Afghanistan. They don't bother doing that because, you know, they deal with the wrong people all the time. But I got involved. And Abdul was the head of the Taliban. He is the
Abdul. I love when he says this.
and I told Abdul, don't do it anymore. You do it anymore, you're going to have problems. And he said, why do you send me a picture of my house? I said, you're going to have to figure that out, Abdul. And for 18 months,
He did. He had a pocket in
I
his
know.
pocket.
I
we
know.
did have an agreement negotiated by Mike Pompeo. It was a very good agreement. The reason it was good, it was we were getting out. We would have been out faster than them, but we wouldn't have lost the soldiers. We wouldn't have left many Americans behind, and we wouldn't have left $85 billion worth of brand new, beautiful military equipment behind. And just to finish, they blew it.
And
The
he had
agreement
planned on
said you
keeping
have
the
to do
airport
this,
too.
This, and
Yeah, he did because of the proximity to China.
Yep.
was terminated.
Now
by
China's
us
all over
because
Afghanistan.
They didn't do what they were supposed to do.
I want to move on.
And these people did the worst withdrawal, and in my opinion, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And by the way,
Yeah,
that's why
Vietnam was
Russia
pretty bad,
attacked
too.
Ukraine, because they saw how incompetent she and her boss are.
President Trump, thank you. I want to move on now to race and politics in this country. Mr. President, you
Yeah,
recently said of
Afghanistan's
Vice
worse
President
than
Harris,
Vietnam.
quote, I didn't know
The
she
withdrawal.
was black until a number of years ago when she happened to be black, and now she wants to be known as black. I want to ask a bigger picture question here tonight. Why do you believe it's
Just the
appropriate
question
to
alone is
Wait,
funny.
did he just say she wants to be known as black?
Here,
He was quoting Trump.
Oh,
It's still funny the way that question's
I don't care what
phrased.
she is. I don't care.
I don't know what she is. I don't care.
Make a big deal out of something. I couldn't care less. Whatever she wants to be is okay with me.
But those were your words, so I'm
I don't
asking.
know. I don't know. I mean, all I can say is I read where she was not black, that she put out. And
Did
I'll
she
say
put
it.
out?
And then I
All
read
the-
that she was
all the
black.
time.
And that's
Gives
okay.
up,
I
puts
don't
it out.
agree with me. That's up
Whenever
to
she
her.
needs a political
up to her.
advancement.
Vice
Do
President
you see the difference between her and her sister, though?
I think it's.
I don't know. I haven't
mean,
seen her
honestly, I think
sister.
it's-
Oh, well, her sister was at the DNC. It's pull up her sister and just take a look at their physiological differences that are very apparent to the eye.
attempt
Makes you wonder.
American people. You know, I do believe that the vast majority of us know that we have so much more in common than what separates
Was her
Yeah,
us.
mother
there's so much
was,
more.
was her mother
This
getting it
kind
on the
of
side?
approach that is just
Look, I mean, from my purview, it's a possibility, Chris. I mean,
How
doesn't
dumb.
take a brain surgeon to put
Well,
two and two together.
Kamala does not look
Land,
black
he
to me
owned
at
land,
all.
he owned
Well,
buildings,
me either.
and he was investigated.
But she certainly knows how to put on that accent in the right geographic regions of the United States of America to act like she is.
Let's
Well,
remember,
if you're in
this is the same
Atlanta, don't you
individual
have to speak black?
who
Isn't that
took
how
out
that
a
works?
Oh, I don't know.
times.
I mean, if you
I
go,
I
that's
wouldn't. I wouldn't call
requirement.
it. I wouldn't call it speak. I would just say that Southern twang. You know.
Latino
No,
boys
no,
who were
I would
innocent, the
disagree.
Central Park
Okay.
Five
She's trying to portray herself
took
as
out a
black.
full
Well, of course, I agree.
for their
But I'm
So
not.
that
I'm
would
just saying.
that
I
would be
don't.
speaking
individual.
black.
Okay.
spread birth
No?
lies about the
Am I
fact
wrong?
don't know.
President
Well, I don't like to generalize. Like, I don't think there's a vernacular
people.
that's black per se, but
Well,
I understand what you mean.
Clinton
Want
brought hot
someone who
sauce to
understands as I do,
a
I
table
travel
full of
our
black
country.
people when
We
she did that
see
interview.
in each other a friend. We see in each other a
Supposedly,
neighbor.
she said she had
We
hot
don't
sauce in her purse.
want a leader who is constantly trying to
So
have
these
Americans
people-
point their
She was
finger
also talking about a recipe with collard greens.
all the time.
Yes, these
Like
tells
she,
me-
yeah.
these
Can we
people
please just have
reduce it to
discourse
the most
about
simplistic things
how we're
possible,
going to invest in the aspirations
opposed
and
to
the
giving
ambitions
them
and the
real
dreams of
reasons
the
to vote
American
for you.
people. Knowing that regardless of people's
What they
color
do.
or the language their grandmother speaks, we all have the same dreams and aspirations and want a president who invests in those, not in hate and division.
Vice President Harris, thank you. Lindsay?
President Trump, this is now your third time.
This is the most divisive presidency in the history of our country.
Third time. What was she saying? Third time what? Running?
They're destroying our country.
Third time
And they
running.
come up with things like
What do you mean?
what she just said. Going back many, many years, when a lot of people, including
The
my-
moderator said, "This is like Mr. President. This is your third time," and then I lost it.
they pled guilty.
Would you like me to rewind?
And I
No.
said, if they pled guilty, they badly hurt a person, killed a person ultimately. And if they pled guilty, then they pled, we're not guilty. But this is a person that has to stretch back years, 40, 50 years ago, because there's nothing now. I built one of the greatest economies in the history of the world, and I'm going to build it again. It's going to be bigger, better, and stronger.
There you go.
But
Tell
they're
her.
destroying our economy. They have no idea what a good economy is. Their oil policies, every single policy. And remember this, she is Biden. You know, she's trying to get away from Biden. I don't know the gentleman, she says. She is Biden. The worst inflation we've ever had, a horrible economy because
That's not
inflation
true.
has made it so
It was
bad,
worse than World War II.
and she can't get away with that.
Thank you. Your time is up, Lindsay.
I want to respond to that, though. I want to just respond briefly. Clearly, I am not Joe Biden, and I am certainly not Donald Trump. And what I do offer is a new generation of leadership for our country.
So why aren't you
One
doing
who
it now?
believes
Exactly.
it's possible. One who brings
Right.
a sense of optimism about what
Joy
we can
and hope
do
and
instead of
happiness
always
and-
disparaging.
Yeah.
Joy, joy,
The
joy.
American
Happy joy,
people.
joy.
Look at
I
this.
believe
Disparaging.
in what we
Disparaging.
do to strengthen our small businesses, which is why I have a plan. Let's talk about.
Tell us about how you got no votes.
And let's
Tell us
compare
about that.
plans. I have a plan.
Tell us how you're going to bring
to
joy.
give startup businesses.
Just don't say it, tell
$50,000
us.
tax deduction.
You're going to give
Oh,
us all.
Oh, Chris, a $50,000 tax deduction for a startup business. For what are you going to do? A lawn care company
$6,000
with $50,000?
the first year of your child's life to help
And that's
you
it's a
in that
tax
most critical
deduction
stage
too.
of your
That's not
child's
going
That's
to
my
do.
point. What are you
Not going to do you.
Yeah,
It's not going to do
It
anything
is
for
about
you. When
Yeah.
your business
people
loses
being
money in
able
the
to
first
pursue
year,
what
Exactly.
you don't need a
dreaming in
tax
terms of the
deduction.
American dream
Right.
by offering help with down payment of $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers.
Oh, that's a huge, gosh, wow, what are they buying?
David,
Well, it
that
doesn't
people-
matter.
$100,000 houses
Well,
that don't exist?
I don't
a
care what they're
conversation
buying. Why
that
are we
is
giving people
constantly
25
about
grand? We're 36
belittling
trillion in debt.
and name calling.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's turn the page
Vice President
and move
Harris,
forward.
thank you. Let's turn to policy.
President
Let's
Trump,
turn back
we
to
have
policy.
to move on. President Trump.
Let's turn to policy,
She has
please.
a plan to
No,
defund
just
the
let it go,
police.
Trump.
She has a plan to confiscate everybody's gun.
President Trump,
She
we
has
do
a
Yes, she
plan
does.
to
On to
not
other
allow
issues.
fracking
I will
in
go down
Pennsylvania or
in
anywhere
depth.
else.
Okay.
That's what her.
Likewise, I'll be joining you, Chris.
President
Well,
Trump-
we'll have to
President
hook up
Trump
somewhere
has
so at
said
least we
that.
can
Sorry.
watch each other's
I'm
six.
sorry, we're gonna-
Yeah, exactly.
President
Time
Harris.
to what he has
President
said
Trump, this is
multiple
now
times.
your
Yes.
third time running for president. You have long vowed to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. You have failed to accomplish that. You now say you're going to keep Obamacare, quote,
And she wants
unless we can
Medicare
do
for
something
everyone.
much better.
Well, that's
Last month, you
100
said, quote,
trillion
"We're
in
working
debt."
on it." So tonight, 9 years after you first started running, do you have a
Because that would
plan,
include
and
every
can you
person
tell
on
us
the
what it
planet.
is?
Obamacare was lousy health care. Always was. It's not very
It
good.
still is.
And what I said, that if
But
we come
seriously,
up with something, and we are working
If we
on
give free
things,
Medicare
we're
to
gonna do it,
everyone,
we're
and
gonna
she
replace it. But
said illegal
remember this,
aliens too,
I inherited Obamacare.
and they're allowing everyone on
because
the planet to
Democrats
come here.
wouldn't change it. They wouldn't vote for it.
100%, Chris.
They
How
wouldn't
much money
vote
are you
to
going to have in
change
your
it.
pocket?
If they would have done that,
Nothing.
much
Exactly.
better plan than Obamacare. But the
$100 doesn't even buy. What does $100 do for you these days? Nothing.
I don't
Do
even go to the
save it
grocery
and
store.
make
That
it as good
pisses
as
me
it
off
can be?
too.
Never gonna be great. Or do I let it rot? And I felt I had an obligation, even though politically it would have been good to just let
Thankfully,
it rot
my
and
wife
let
don't
it
mind
go
going,
away.
and she doesn't
I
mind spending
decided,
money.
And I told my people.
Yeah, I can't handle it.
very good
I walk into Costco, I get 3 items. I'm like, what do you mean $180?
Exactly.
I got toilet paper,
And so do they.
Exactly.
paper towel, and 2 cases of water. What do you mean $180?
Yeah,
I had a
right.
choice to make. Do I
That
save
legit
it and
happened
make
to
it
me.
as good as it can be, or
150
do I
some
let it
dollars,
rot?
and there was
And I
9
saved
things
it.
in the
I did
cart,
the
and
right
it didn't even
thing,
take up the
but
full bottom.
it's still
Chris, I get anxiety going to those places.
too expensive for people. And what we will do is we're looking at different plans. If we can come up with a plan that's going to cost our people, our population, less money and be better health care than Obamacare, then I would absolutely do it. But until then, I'd run it as good as it can be run.
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan?
I have concepts of a plan. I'm not president right now. But if we
That's not a
come
bad
up with
answer.
something, I would only change it if we come
At least he's not bullshitting
unless
and making something just garbage.
No,
options
see, I
that
don't
we
mind
have
kind of
to
bullshitting.
do
It's
that.
the
And you'll
lying
be
I have
hearing
a
about
problem
it in
with.
the
Yeah, but I'd rather him say I don't have a plan.
No, I
right now,
do.
I'm not
Sure.
president than him come up with some bullshit on the fly. Is what I mean.
With private
That's the
insurance, you
thing.
create a
People think he's
government-run
this big
healthcare
liar,
system.
and he
2
does
years later,
lie,
you proposed a
but
plan that
it's not
included
about
a
important
private
stuff.
insurance option. What is your
You
plan
understand what I'm
today?
saying?
Yeah, it's yeah, it's non-impactful.
Exactly. It's like
Whatever.
it's like white
What we
lies.
need to do is maintain and grow the Affordable Care Act. But I'll get to that, Lindsay. I just need to respond to a previous point that the former president has made. I've made very clear my position on fracking, and then this business about
No,
taking
you
everyone's-
haven't.
Yeah, exactly. That you were against it in 2019.
anybody's
Yeah.
guns away.
And
So stop with the
2020
continuous-
with
Yeah,
Biden.
clearly.
As it relates to the
Then,
Affordable
no,
Care
because
Act,
that's against
understand,
your
let's
interest,
Yeah.
you're for
get
it.
the history to
And
know
then all of a sudden, once she wins Pennsylvania, she'll go back to banning fracking.
That's
Pump
right.
fake. Too late. Sorry.
Yeah.
60 times.
Blow
I
me.
was a senator at the time when I will never forget the early morning hours when
Yeah,
it
tell
was
us.
up for a vote in the United States Senate. And the late, great John McCain, who you have
Late, great.
disparaged as being, you don't like him, you said at the time, because
I'm with
he
him.
got
I don't like
caught.
any of
He
those
was an
rhinos.
American hero. The late, great John McCain, I'll never forget that night. Walked
Mitt
onto the
Romney,
Senate floor and said,
Dick Cheney.
no, you
They-
don't.
that's why they're
No, you
going over the
don't.
Democratic
No,
side.
you don't get
They're all
rid of the
pro-war.
Affordable Care Act. You have no plan.
Get them the hell
And
out.
what the Affordable Care Act has done is
What's your plan? Go to your website. Do you even have a? What's your
She
plan?
does.
Joe Biden's blueprint?
I don't
She
have to
does
tell
now.
people
She
watching
put up
TV.
policies. She
Oh,
put it
when?
up. She put
Within
them
the
up
last
2 days.
48 hours?
Yeah, 2 days
Deny?
ago.
Oh, it's about time, Chris. 56 days out of the election. So that's
Well,
good
she
shit for
had to
policy.
before the
If a
debate,
grandparent
I
in the
see.
80s,
and
I
half
gotcha.
of them are a direct
Thankfully,
copy and paste from
as I've been
Biden's
vice
website.
president,
Right, exactly.
No,
4
literally.
years have
No, I believe you. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't I mean it's lip service.
Medicare to negotiate drug prices On behalf
But
of
again, the sheeple, they'll buy it.
Donald Trump said he was going to allow Medicare to
Unfortunately,
negotiate drug
Yeah.
prices. He never did. We did. And
Vote
now
on the motion,
at
vote
30
on this, vote on that, instead of what's better off for the world.
cost of
See,
prescription medication for seniors
all
at
of this shit
$2,000 a
pisses me
year.
off
And when
at
I
what
am
they're doing right
president,
now.
we
And
will
Trump
do that for
agrees
all
with some
people,
of it.
understanding
Giving
that
away
the
money.
value I bring to this
Do they not? Nobody
that
seems to understand
access to
this is our
healthcare
money.
should be a right.
Government
and
has
not
no
just
money.
a privilege of those who
It's
can
our
afford it.
money.
Yes.
The plan
They think,
has
oh,
to
the government's
be
giving me
to
stuff. Well,
strengthen the
it-
Affordable
No,
Care
they're
it
just
can't-
giving money back to you. That's your money
yeah,
that they
Pro-life.
stole from you.
or
Stands
others'
on that.
I
money,
want to move to
Yeah.
that's important.
or
for
your
a lot
kids'
of
money if they're
mistake.
printing it.
Number one, John McCain fought Obamacare for 10 years. But it wasn't only him. It were all of the Democrats that kept it going. And you know what? We can do much better than Obamacare, much less money. But she won't improve private insurance for people, private medical insurance. That's another
No,
thing
she wants
doesn't
Medicare
want.
for
President
all.
Trump-
Yeah, socialism, Health Canada. Let's
Oh.
go.
Yeah. I mean, what he said at the beginning, her father is a Marxist. He's a communist, and so
Yeah.
is she.
Where you wait 6 months for an operation that you need immediately.
President Trump, thank you. We have another issue that we'd like to get to that's important for a number of Americans, in particular younger voters, and
I may
that's
need another
climate
drink,
change.
Robert.
President
When's this
Trump, with
over?
regard to the
I
environment,
don't know, but I think we should wrap it up maybe.
clean water, Vice President
Why?
Harris, you
What do you think?
an existential threat.
You're done?
The question to you both tonight is,
I don't know. I've got a headache a little watching this already.
start with you, 1 minute for you each.
Well, the
And I can't drink right now. I gotta take a pause on the drink.
and what we know
Uh-oh.
is that it is very real. You ask anyone
All right, so we'll pause and catch their closing statements. So, what are your thoughts?
Well, Chris, God help us. I think that's all I can say. I mean, I think she's very disingenuous. I don't believe a word she says. I think it's all garbage. Truly. I don't believe her. I don't believe her. She's a fraud. She's a phony. She's a pawn. Period. I don't know what more to tell you.
Well,
Trump on the other hand has some sort of legitimacy to him. He won an election against a very popular Democrat in 2016. And I think they were so shocked at it that they realized they can't let that ever happen again. And now the disenfranchisement of all if I was a Democrat, I'd be fucking pissed. I would be.
sure,
would
from
be.
not
This
having a
is-
primary.
That it's like, yeah, like you know what I mean. And so to me, she would be the most illegitimate installment of a phony whatever, even if she is a puppet and she's not doing anything. You want to talk about a fraud? The founding fathers, you think they saw it this way? So Chris,
Well-
honestly, I can't say how I feel about it. I don't think I mean this to me is it's a one-sided show. And
Well,
all hats for me tip to President Trump.
okay. So, and to be fair, you're a fan. Now, a couple of things that were said there by you. So, one, just to clarify, there was no way there could be a primary, to be fair to her, but they should have had an open convention, and they did not, because
Thank you. Thank you. I'm with you on that. Fine. Agree.
right, there was not time for a primary, but there certainly was time for a open convention, as it should have been, because the process democratically, and they are supposedly here to save democracy, is an open convention in that situation. That's the only way to do it, where all of those seeking the nomination get a shot at presenting their case, right? They didn't do it. They didn't do it. And not only that, but I'm not a Republican. I truly am not. I can't stand the Republicans. I just can't stand the Democrats even more. But they have those super delegates.
Yeah.
And there's enough of them that carry so many points, they can override any other situation. They can elect who's going to be their nominee on their own, right? So it's just stupid how the way they have that set up. It's so specifically so a Trump situation can't happen, right? Because they're under control. That's point A. There was something else you said I wanted to bring up, but now I don't remember what it was. But I do feel she's doing a better job than I expected, honestly. And I think those who
Honestly, I'm not, not to interrupt you. I think she's doing the same job she did at the DNC. Well rehearsed. She sat in a back room and practiced this script
7 days. She
first. I
practiced
mean,
for 7 days.
that's my point. So I'm not like, oh wow, she's doing, she did a fine job at the DNC. If you are actually,
No, I don't think she did there.
well, I do. If you just, have no wits
What-
about you to kind of research your own things and think about it on your own and be your own independent person, and you listen to her, she's believable. Believable. You might fall for it. And that's exactly, to my view, what she did at the DNC. And she spoke eloquently and this and that and da 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 da. That's the way I see it, Chris. Again, agree to disagree, it's fine. But I don't think I'm not impressed with what her performance. I think it's
No.
like sit in a room and go memorize a script for 7 days.
I think you're
you know?
misconstruing what I'm saying, and probably because I didn't make it clear. So, what's the audience here that you're trying to bring in? Right, your audience is kind of the ill-informed middle, right? Those who aren't real necessarily knowledgeable on politics, they don't follow everything. They maybe watch the news a little here and there, and generally when they watch the news, it's negative on Trump. But at the same time, they know they were better under Trump financially.
Mhm.
So they have questions. So they're undecided. I mean, that's who you're after. This is who this is after. Everybody who's
Yeah.
voting for Trump is not going to switch over to Kamala and vice versa. That's just
At
not
this
going to
point,
happen.
at this point in time, you're right.
So their audience and who they're after are the undecided, which the latest poll, I think, that said they're 7% undecided. That was the latest poll.
I don't even buy polls anymore at this point, Chris.
I don't, but I'm just saying, I'm throwing that out there. If it's 7% undecided, that's your audience base. That's who you're talking to here. And I think Kamala's, again, if you know the truth, you know Trump is winning this, right? He doesn't even need to do this debate if you know the truth. But if you're undecided, you don't know the truth. That's my point. She's doing better. In my opinion, she's doing a little better job appealing to the undecided.
Explain. Okay, I agree and see that perspective.
Yeah, that's why I think she's doing better than Trump a little bit, not a lot. I think
Yeah.
people are still, even the undecideds are still going to say, you know what? But I was doing better under Trump. She's
Yeah.
part of the Biden administration, so I just don't know who I'm going to vote for. I don't think this is resolving who they're going to vote for, but I think she's doing a little better job.
Yeah. No, I can see that. I can see that.
And the problem is they're not going to decide until the last day. Like, what's his name? That attorney he's a Harvard professor.
Dershowitz.
Yeah,
Dershowitz.
yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. He just came out and said, I'm no longer a Democrat. And he's been a Democrat his whole life. And
Yep.
he said, you won't know who I'm voting for until possibly the last day. And I mean, I think that's the way most moderates are at this point. Undecided, I shouldn't say.
Chris, I
moderates.
think a lot of people are just not vocal, and I think just like that picture you sent today, there's a lot of those people that are afraid, and there's a lot of people of those who are not afraid, and
Yeah.
there's more afraid than not afraid.
Sure.
And because they know they were better off under Trump. And so only thing that we can do is wait, sit back, grab the popcorn and see.
Well, so my prediction when Biden and Trump were running it, my prediction was there's just no way Biden can win. You look at the footage from their rallies, Trump would have 50,000 and Biden would have 50. Like, this is not an exaggeration.
But same with Kamala, dude. She's photoshopping, and look at the reflection of the jet engine.
No, I know.
It's a mirror.
I
There's
know.
nothing there. I mean, like this
I
is how
know.
they don't even think.
I know. And I was going to say, it's the exact same thing this time. The difference is between
Their
those
closing
two.
statements are on, I think, right now, by the way.
Okay. We'll watch that.
Who lives in a state who has
Fast forwarded all the way up.
Whether it's in Detroit or South Carolina.
visions for our country. One that is focused on the future, and
He
the
goes
other that
last,
is
so I
focused
don't
on
even
the
like
past
listening to her, so that's
and an
fine.
attempt to take us backward. But we're not going back. And I do believe that
Well, then
the
why is she
American
doing something
people
about it
know we
now?
all have so much more in
Yeah.
common than what separates us. And we can
How many times has she said that tonight, Chris? We have so much more in common than separates us.
includes having a
Yeah, I don't know if
plan,
many people agree with that.
understanding the
If many people
aspirations, the
agree with that
dreams,
anymore.
the hopes, the ambition of the American people, which is
There's
why
the elite
we intend to create
and there's the unelite.
unity of
Period.
And then,
investing
in
in
order
small
to distract
businesses,
those at the
in
lower
new
rungs, they bring
families,
in 30
what we
million
can do
illegal
around
immigrants.
protecting seniors, what we can do that is about giving.
I'd like her to explain why her
bringing-
colleagues on the other side of the aisle
I believe
voted
we
against
can do together.
voter ID
about
and confirming citizenship to vote
Yeah.
in a federal election when that's a federal law.
Exactly.
Why are they voting against that, Chris?
Yeah.
Respecting our
Good
military
question.
and ensuring we
I
have
would just like to know.
fighting
I would
force
too.
in the world. I will be a
You got to
president
get an
that will
ID to
protect
do
our
anything.
fundamental
What's wrong with
rights and
showing an
freedoms,
ID of
including
voting?
the right
I'd
of
like
a
to know
woman
that
to
one
make
Exactly.
too.
decisions
Right.
about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. I'll tell you, I started my career as a prosecutor. I was the DA.
Yeah, and you fucked up San Francisco to smithereens.
now vice
Yeah, it's
president.
been
I've
it's
only
been
had one
fucked
client,
since.
the people.
Yeah. You did a great job.
Prosecutor,
And
I
then she
never
backed
asked
Garcon
a
or
victim
whatever his
or a
name is, the
witness whether you were
LA
a Republican or a
DA.
Democrat. The
And
only
he
thing I
screwed up
ever asked them, are you okay?
LA completely.
Well, I mean, Chris, can't you go in there and like steal 900 and walk out and, you know, not get prosecuted?
Putting
That's right.
themselves
Oh, okay.
I intend to be a
As long as you
president
steal
for
less than
all
900, you don't
Americans.
get
Okay.
arrested.
So basically, yeah, you just go up to the cashier and how am I at 875? All right,
Build back
Later.
up our country,
later.
investing right now in you, the American people.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump?
All right, here we go, Chris. Turn it up.
Started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it? She's been
Exactly.
there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why
More than 3.5
hasn't
years.
she done it? She should leave right now, go down to that beautiful White House, go to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the things you want to do, but you haven't done it and you won't do it because you believe in things that the American people don't believe in. You believe in things like we're not going to frack. We're not going to take fossil fuel. We're not going to do things that are going to make this country strong, whether you like it or not. Germany tried that, and within 1 year, they were back to building normal energy plants. We're not ready for it. We can't sacrifice our country for the sake of bad vision. But I just ask one simple question. Why didn't she do it? We're a failing nation. We're a nation that's in serious decline. We're being laughed
could have
at
done it.
all over the world. All over the world, they're laughed. I know the leaders very well. They're coming to see me. They call me. We're laughed at all over the world. They don't understand what happened to us as a nation. We're not a leader. We don't have any idea what's going on. We have wars going on in the Middle East. We have wars going on with Russia and Ukraine. We're going to end up in a third world war, and it'll be a war like no other because of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. I rebuilt our entire military. She gave a lot of it away to the Taliban. She gave it to Afghanistan. What these people have done to our country, and maybe toughest of all, is allowing millions of people to come into our country. Many of them are criminals, and they're destroying our country. The worst president, the worst vice president in the history of our country.
President Trump, thank you.
Agree.
And that is our ABC News presidential
All right.
debate from
Uneventful, Chris.
So I do want to make a comment though on what he just said about World War III's coming.
I sent you a couple messages. Just take a quick look at that real quick. Yeah. No, on the chat here.
So I don't remember the quote. I think it was right after World War II. Somebody famous said, I'm gonna stop the share. So somebody famous said that I can't tell you what weapons will be used to fight World War III, but I can tell you what weapons will be used to fight World War IV. Sticks and stones. And I totally agree with that.
Yeah, it'll be complete decimation.
Yep, with what Trump just said. We're
Yeah.
on the verge of World War III, and we got to do everything to get out of that situation.
Yep. All right, my friend. Well, listen, it's been real. I got to run.
All right.
And
Well,
I'll be talking to you very soon here. Thank you for
well,
having me.
all right. You have a good night, Robert.
All right, buddy.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching the Chris and Dan show. I just had one closing thought. Well, a couple. Thank you, Robert Goldman, for joining us on the Chris and Dan show and watching this debate. I don't think I could have done this by myself. I was getting frustrated watching the debate by myself. So when did this podcast? But my closing prediction is I have no idea who's going to win this election. But I do think the October surprise is going to be Joe Biden steps down and Kamala is appointed president. A month in time is not enough time for Kamala really to do anything outside of executive orders, and those don't carry necessarily a lot of weight. They do to some extent, but I don't think it really will affect her record in terms of, let's be honest, most people are not paying attention politically enough to know really what is getting signed from an executive action level, unless it's harming them or helping them economically. And a month's time is not going to do anything for someone economically. So people will not know what the executive orders are doing to them. Well, I shouldn't say that people that are undecided probably will not know. So what they're going to do is make the pitch, the MSM, the mainstream media, and their pitch is going to be Kamala is the first woman president ever. How can we not keep her in office? You must. They're going to. So, again, in my opinion, the Democrats have one play. They only have one, and it's an emotional play. They have no logic behind their arguments, or they only have lies behind their arguments. That's my opinion. If you feel otherwise, please put it in the comments, and I will certainly answer them. They only have lies. Republicans are not saints either. Not a fan of Republicans. But at least they offer, Rand Paul, for example, offers solutions to our problems. And so does Trump. Whether you like him or not, his personality, he offers solutions. Kamala is not offering solutions. She's not. She frames what Trump is offering as horrible for the system. No, it's horrible for the establishment, that system. Yeah, it's horrible for that. The system in terms of the individual, the people, no. Trump is your only selection, your only choice if you care about yourself. If you care about the elite and those in control, then Kamala is your choice. And in order for people to elect her, they're going to play on you emotionally. And the emotion's going to be keep that woman in office. Because she's a puppet of the establishment. It's that simple. The reason they don't want Trump in there, the reason they tried to kill Trump, he's not a puppet of the establishment. They can't have him in there. That's why they're threatening him with 110 years in prison for crimes every president has committed. Literally all of them. So, yeah, your choice is simple. Do you want to continue providing for the establishment, or do you want to, or would you prefer to provide for yourself? It's that simple. Thank you for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed, and please do vote Trump. Bye-bye.